Welcome back to the kitchen counter. A while back I did a video of me pouring this Mystic on glass, and I'd always planned to do a second one that complements or goes with this one. Now I originally bought 4 of these from our local second-hand shop, and they came with just a little paper print in here. So basically I'm going to do another one of these in some softer, elegant colours, and my first task will be to dismantle this print. I will prime this backboard with black house paint, and we'll pour another one. I'll bring you back once I've set this all up, and we'll work through the mixing. Okay, so I've prepared this. I've washed it thoroughly. I've made sure there's no grease on it by using isopropyl alcohol to clean it. I have used blue painter's tape, and I have taped off the outside. I've levelled my little board, and I've primed my backboard. Now I could actually put this underneath and pour on top, but I don't want to get resin accidentally on this. So I remove it and I work with the fact that it's see-through. Okay, the other thing is when you're dealing with the glass out of these prints, it's not very good quality glass, and the edges are sharp or can be sharp. Be extremely careful that you don't cut yourself when you're dealing with this glass. I've levelled this, and so we should be almost ready to go. So I'm just going through and picking all my colours, and for anybody that watched previous videos, I struggle a bit with the little bags of mica powder, so I've started moving them to little jars and labelling them so that I can manage them with gloves on. I want this to be subtle and elegant colours, so I have 2 greens, an apple green and a shimmer magic green. My favourite Cambridge blue, which is a lovely, very pale, almost like an ice blue. Of course my standard pearl white, and then an unusual one which is called yellow green. Now this will only be for really tiny accents, but it should set off the other colours. I'm not going to get too crazy with the design. I want it to be simple and just a few colours. The black I'll be using is Global acrylic paints, and I'll mix that in clear resin. Because micas all look exactly the same colours in the plastic bags, I did end up mixing up a little bit of everything and making little, almost like paint samples of the mixed resin, and then labelling my sticks so that I can actually use them to make a palette. Just one of those little things that make life easier for me. Okay, so I've mixed my resin, and now I'll start mixing the colours. So this is for my black. And my micas. Now you don't need very much of the micas, they go a long way. So I'm only going to mix up small amounts and leave quite a lot of negative space. I'll leave myself some clear to keep working if I need it. Let's do the black. Now I never really measure, I call it a dollop, and it depends on how much resin you've got. So about that much. Put the rest of it back. Mix that thoroughly. Make sure you get everything from the sides and the stick. Now I want a nice clean dense looking black. Even though I've got the black backboard behind the glass, I still like the glossiness that black gives you, a deep dark black. Okay, so I'll start to pour that on the outside, just around the edges to give me a frame like I would normally. Bit of clear to blend that in with. And I'll just mix that to the outside. Now I don't have to be too concerned about the edges on here because they have no depth. So it's more about getting a nice, clean, even coverage of the black. You still need to be careful that you don't cut yourself. This glass is sharp, and even though you've got gloves on, just take proper care and take your time. And I'll just blend a little bit of the clear in, just to soften the edges. Quick torture those bubbles. Just gives the mica a nice clean edge to run through. Oh, looks like I've got something in there. We'll just clear that now before it gets too difficult to work with. Good. Now let's mix some mica. Now these two greens look quite similar, but one is a little bit more yellow, so it's about that much. Now remember that these mica powders are very fine particles, so be a bit careful and don't breathe them in. Take every safety precaution you possibly can. My windows are wide open and I have an extractor fan, and so I have very good ventilation in my house. I also don't do a lot of torching of resin. I'm not comfortable with that. Look at that beautiful colour. The second green, which is the shimmer green. Now make sure you mix these well so that you don't get little clumps. Might just put a little bit more resin in that one. And this is a cooler green, still pastels, very pretty. My Cambridge blue, one of my favourite colours. Now I will be putting a couple of drops of alcohol in, isopropyl alcohol in this, just to thin them down a little bit, and should give me a little bit of lacing. There you go. Beautiful colour. And my yellow green. Now this almost looks like the effect that you get on shells, where you get the two different colours shining in the one spot. So I don't know if you'll be able to see the green shimmer through this orangey yellow. Now I will mix up a pale gold just in case I need it. So that will be a mixture of this luster gold, which is a sparkly one, and some of my favourite pearl white. You can see how dark that is. I'll just add some pearl white just to calm it down a bit. Now you can mix these micas into any colour that you want. So I'll just show you that. You can't really see it, I don't think, on the video, but I can certainly see that that colour has lightened. Now let's do the pour. So similar to the previous Mystic on Glass, I'm going to swoop this way and that way, and I'm going to have predominantly blues down the bottom and the pale green up the top. So I'll do the blue first. With a little accent of the brown, and a little bit of the gold, just drizzled for effect. I'll hit that with the hairdryer and I'll turn that down in the video for you. And now for the greens. Put a tiny bit of blue in the middle of that, just to link the colours. I'll hit that with a hairdryer. Just soften that just a little bit. I'll just do some infill, a little bit of black in the middle. And the rest will be clear. Oops. Have to stop doing that. I'm just joining up the infill with the mica. And we're almost finished. Okay, still just filling these little gaps in. Now the real effect of this happens when you add back the black backboard. So I'm just looking to see that there's proper coverage. And that I get the wispy feel that I'm looking for. A little bit more clear here. And I forgot to put the isopropyl alcohol in the micas, but that's okay. I think I have the look that I'm after. Good. So the next time you see this, it will be dry, and hopefully the way I want it to be. Forgot to show you the actual close-ups before it dries. There's some lovely wispy bits on the outside. A little bit hard to take this without glare, but you can get an understanding of what it looks like and how you have to imagine that those white bits will have the black background, and so will create almost a floating effect of that green. And we'll bring you back tomorrow when it's dry.